Hey, Maddie and Dan, can you guys hear us okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear
I,
us?
I can hear
Yeah,
you
we
too.
can hear you. Okay, we got a little bit of background because we haven't started officially yet, so that might quiet down, but just wanted to test audio so far.
Sounds great. Thanks.
Thank you. Well, my favorite summer blockbuster movie of all time is Independence Day. In case anybody saw that Icebreaker, that was a great one for me back in the day. Anyway, we will start now. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here in this crazy heat wave. We've got some great speakers today, so thank you for joining us. We are going to go ahead and get started with roll call. So, Sam Schoenberg. Present. And I will turn this off. Yep. Jenny Schaefer is absent, and Murillo Garcia is here. Our roll call, we're going to do public comments at the front at the beginning of the meeting, just like we did last time. We're excited to invite the Center for Conflict Resolution and Dignity and Best Practices as our speakers today. So thank you very much to them for joining us. And we're going to do just our normal reminders, calls to action, and of course our announcement of next meeting. There are no votes to go through today, so we're going to go ahead and skip that portion. And we're going to do public announcements. So we'll do public announcements and then we'll do public comment. So this is for any community group in the room that would like to talk about any upcoming events or just their group overall. If you want to take about 30 seconds to just give an update. I know we have folks from Thresholds here, so thank you so much for joining. You want to go ahead?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Alex, and I'm with Threshold.
I have
you guys know that we do have a public practice. I know some of you guys are aware of where we come out and de-escalate crisis in the home. Also, we serve three zip codes, which are 60640, 60610, 60630, 60657. And we come out to provide services. So plenty of flyers and everything back here. So please, thanks. And you guys have any questions or whatever, don't hesitate. For myself and my partner's going to be here in a moment. Instead of watching. So thanks for those 30 seconds.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
And just as a reminder for folks, I don't know if we have them with us tonight, but if you're interested, we have created palm cards that have mobile crisis response units in the 19th district because there's a patchwork of different resources. There is the city-run care team, but that only operates from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on weekdays. But there are several 24/7 resources in the 19th Police District, and we've got them listed by their name, their number, and the zip codes that they service while we have this patchwork. So if you're interested in those, let us know. We can get you some of those cards.
Anybody else?
Community group want to introduce themselves? Sure.
Hi everyone, my name is Alyssa. I work at the Jewish Council on Urban Affairs. We are co-hosting a Know Your Rights canvas this Sunday with Asian Americans Advancing Justice. It's Sunday, 1 to 4 p.m. at Foster Beach. We're going to be passing out Know Your Rights information to people hanging out, answering their questions, and teaching people how to protect their communities. So if that's something you're interested in, I am going to have to leave a bit early, but you can ask Sam and he'll give you my information.
Mhm.
Thank you, Sam.
Sure.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's this Sunday, 1 to 4 p.m.
Thank you. I also want to recognize that we're joined by Captain Terry Forbes from the 19th Police District. Thank you for being here, second in command of the 19th Police District Station. Captain Forbes, was there any updates you wanted to share or anything?
No.
Okay. Thank you for being here. And we've got 46 Andre from the 46th Ward who's here as well. Thank you for being here. And any other groups? Okay.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and go for public comment. Everybody's going to get 2 minutes to speak. We have 3 people lined up for public comment. If you do have public comment to give and you're not on the list, you're not called upon, just let me know, and then we can have you added to the list as well. So we're going to start with Trisha Henderson.
Trisha?
Williams?
Henderson.
Did you sign up for public comment? In that case, we just got it wrong. Trisha
Yeah.
Williams.
Trisha Williams.
Hello, everyone. So I'm just concerned about public safety in general, and my biggest concern right now is with the ICE raids and people just grabbing people off the streets with masks, no identification, no uniform. That scares me. It scares my neighbors, and I feel like it affects all of our public safety because it affects the police are, doing crowd control and they're not doing their regular public safety things that they do. That's it.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Trisha. Next, we have Alyssa Berman.
Hi, everyone. Still Alyssa and with the Jewish Council on Urban Affairs. And I'm here today specifically to talk about a potential violation of the Welcoming City Ordinance, which is an ordinance that prohibits the collaboration between the Chicago Police Department and federal immigration agents, including ICE. Specifically on June 4th, several immigrants were called to an ISOP facility for what were supposedly routine immigration hearings. They were apprehended by ICE at that time, which is a violation of their rights, and some protesters showed up to peacefully demonstrate. And we are concerned that Chicago Police Department also showed up and held perimeters for ICE and were engaged in this action. Alderman Vasquez has called an order to City Council asking the city to investigate this potential violation of the Welcoming City Ordinance. Vote is pushed to the September City Council, but I do still think there is a lot of public pressure that can happen, specifically on the mayor's administration, and I think this is something that district councilors should be engaged in. The 12th district has written a letter asking for this accountability process to begin. I know that the 20th district councilors have signed on to this, and I believe that our district councilors here in 19 should also sign on to this, as this is an issue of police accountability, public safety, and something that we should all be concerned about here in Chicago. Thank you.
Thanks, Alyssa.
Thank you.
Next, we have Julian Cohen.
I'm Julian. There's two things I want to talk about. First is on the care teams that Sam briefly mentioned. In fact, currently they only operate between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. So I kind of wanted to advocate for expanding those. I think it'd be really beneficial to have them operate 24/7 in every ward in the city, because currently they don't, and we know that mental health crises often occur not during 10 a.m. between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. And also, we heard from I think the commander of our own police district that police don't really want to be responding to these kinds of calls that are not as trained as someone who has the kind of mental health training, and that would free up their time to actually spend on what police are kind of here for, investigating homicides and more violent offenses. And so I think there's hundreds of millions of dollars in the current police department budget that is currently allocated for vacancies that is not being used, that could be easily redirected to funding these. And then briefly, I guess I have 30 seconds left. I also want to talk about pretextual vehicle stops. I think that I would push for kind of trying to end those or advocate for some sort of accountability, because all the data shows that those don't actually improve public safety and kind of disproportionately affect communities of color, and also poses a risk to police officers, because it kind of aggravates a situation that could be solved in a different way.
Thanks, Julian.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone who gave public comment.
All right. So in terms of alternative response for parking violations, something that we've been working on for, well, over a year at this point, I believe. We're excited that we have a new subject matter hearing scheduled with the City Council, specifically the Committee on Public Safety. That is going to be September 3rd at 10:30 a.m. So I believe that's a Wednesday. Would love for folks to come out in person. If you have public comment and support or any concerns with our proposal, very much encourage you to attend and give those public comments. But we're excited that it's scheduled currently for September 3rd. So just put that on your calendars.
And something I wanted to, for those who are not familiar with the background of what this proposal is, Murillo really led up a search of data along with Rick Federick, community volunteer and frequent attendee of these meetings. Thank you for being here. And another community volunteer, and analyzed 911 call data over several years, first starting here in the 19th Police District and then moving citywide. We're talking more than 5 million calls?
5.5 million.
More than 5 million calls in a 3-year span. And in categorizing those, found that parking violations make up 10% of all 911 calls here in the 19th District and just shy of 8% citywide. And that police officers are responding to more than 99% of these calls. Meanwhile, the city's Department of Finance already employs parking enforcement aides that do parking enforcement and write tickets for these very same parking violations. And our idea that we've been working with the Department of Finance, with the Office of Emergency Management and Communications, with CPD, and with the mayor's office is to have those parking enforcement aides start to respond to those parking violation calls in the first instance and take it off of officers' plate. So that's what the subject matter hearing is scheduled for, so that we can discuss that along with another district councilor from the 8th District on the southwest side of Chicago. We also are circulating a letter to aldermen to have them sign on. So far, 5 of the 6 alder people who touched the 19th District have signed on. If anyone is in the 32nd District and has an ear in with Scott Wagaspak, we'd love him to sign on as well. And others from the 8th District are signing, and we're hoping to get more signatures in advance of that hearing, and hoping to pack that room as well, with folks who are interested in seeing this kind of alternative response take more of an effect in the city.
All right. We also asked folks to fill out a quick survey if you are in support of this parking enforcement alternative response plan. So if you haven't already, we did get 53 responses. Would love to get that even higher. So if you have a moment, hopefully the screen cooperates. We have the QR code here. If not, we can send it out again in our newsletter after this meeting. Give you guys a couple moments. Literally 2 questions.
Is this the same survey as last one?
Yes, it is. Okay. Yes. So thanks for taking it.
If you filled it out before, thank you, and we already got you. Great to see phones and QR codes that come out.
All right. Thank you so much for those who've taken it. And we're going to go ahead and give an update on our community partnership plan. Great to see that we have some green on the board. We have made some progress. Have 1 completed item and 1 that has become in progress. As you can see, our total percent in progress, ongoing or completed, are 86%. So there's about 7 or so items on this list, the CPP, which is found on our website, linked here. Again, these presentations are always found online, so you can access them online after the fact. But we're at 86% at least started or completed. So great progress there.
And just as some quick background for those who might not be familiar with this, we heard from residents, what was it, a year ago? Year and a half ago?
A year and a half ago.
That they wanted more shorter. A lot of our focus is on longer term or bigger picture solutions in the public safety system. But a lot of residents are coming to us saying, "What can you do now to make public safety improved in our district?" And so we had a series of one-on-one conversations with residents who wanted to sign up with us. We focused a meeting on gathering ideas from residents, and then we took all that information and came up with a list, like a 40-plus goal list of goals that we put together, and we've been trying to chip away at that over the last year and a half or so. And so we have also committed to giving monthly updates as to that. So that's why we include that in our presentation every month.
Which, as an example, today we have 1 completed because we have invited the Center for Conflict Resolution to attend and present at one of our meetings. And so thank you again for helping us with another one of our to-do items. So thank you so much for being here.
And that is a great segue into our speakers for this evening, unless anyone has any questions before we go on. Yes?
I just have a question about the goals completion. Are you also tracking maybe like improvements associated with that? Or,
Oh, yes.
And
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, sorry, I didn't.
I was just gonna have the natural next question is like, what have you seen any improvements? Like,
Yeah, well, that's a great question. So the way I was going to answer your question is we did start with 42 or 43 goals that have grown to 50 because then some of them spawn new goals. But in terms of your overall progress on what we've seen overall, that's a great question. We can go back and take a look. I don't want to give you like any unsubstantiated like answer right now, but that's a great thing for us to go do. And we take a look at this on a monthly, weekly basis actually, and take a look and see what's not yet started. So we've been focusing on getting those to-do items that have not yet started. So we'll go back and take a look and see like what kinds of progress we've seen with for those that have been completed and then have been started. One of the things that was on the list is those little mental health cards that we were passing around. That was one of those items. I think that's been a huge success. A lot of folks did not know about the mental health resources that are in the district, in the city. And thanks to organizations like Thresholds, we've now been able to give that information out. So I think overall, positive lens in terms of these goals to go back and define like each metrics. That's a little bit more work for us to do.
yeah, sorry, I'm just like, KPIs, like what is the outcome, Sorry.
Yep.
No, that's fair. And some of them are ongoing. One, I will say, just in the name of transparency, I don't think we are doing tonight because one of our goals was to have name tags for everyone at every one of our meetings. And I think I forgot to bring those tonight. But one of the other ongoing goals is what you saw earlier, which is have community groups introduce themselves, because we heard from folks that they want to feel like there's more eyes on the street and more community. And our general philosophy is there's enhanced safety when communities know each other. So the more we can get information out about community groups that are present here or ways that you can get involved, we've tried to do that on an ongoing basis, which makes it really hard to track because I guess there are some that are ongoing and we just keep doing them every time. But tracking them more specifically is something I think we need to do another look at. Yeah. With that, any other questions? Okay, so I'm going to invite Kate Finch up here. And you can take my seat. But one of our goals was to invite the Center for Conflict Resolution, which is a wonderful organization that Kate will share with you the background of how it was started and what they do in their programming. But they're a great resource here in Chicago. We were glad to have you here. Actually,
Where would you like?
Where
me
would you like to
go?
stand or
It
sit?
does not matter.
All right.
I know I need to be both in frame and
Yeah.
at least a little visible.
Yeah.
Will that work?
Yeah, let me
That's
double
great.
check. But yeah, go ahead and get started, and we can adjust.
All right. And if I stand right here, can everybody hear me from where you are? Through the humidity
The air conditioner.
and the air conditioner. For goodness sake, please, I will be louder. If anyone tries to turn off the air conditioner, I'm out of this building so quickly. Great. Is this okay?
Yes, great.
All right, so hi everybody, my name is Kate Finch. I use she, her pronouns. I'm here from the Center for Conflict Resolution, or CCR. It was a solid year of working at CCR before I could think of something other than Creedence Clearwater Revival for that particular name. We are a 501c3 nonprofit mediation organization here in Chicago. We got our start in the late 1970s. In 1978, a group of fledgling lawyers with the Young Lawyers section of the Chicago Bar Association looked around at a lot of the cases that were moving through the Cook County court system and realized that those cases are maybe better suited elsewhere. And these were either cases where the amount of money that was being disputed was actually less.
Could we ask you to carry it?
Yeah.
All right.
The amount of money that was actually being disputed was less than what it was going to cost to get it all the way through the litigation process, or in cases where there was a continued relationship, right? So you go through this whole torch the town process, you get to the end, a judge in a robe tells you you win, and then you still have to see your neighbor, or you still have to see your niece at Thanksgiving. So they wanted to open what was at the time called the Neighborhood Justice Center. And the idea was we want to offer free mediation services, regardless of referral status, regardless of income status, to just about anyone who needs them. So in 1979, they opened their doors, and that first year they mediated something like 5 cases, right? Because that's not how it works. People don't just come in off the street and say, well, hey, what is this thing? I need some mediation, right? So they worked really long and hard. Throughout the 1980s, they developed kind of a referral relationship with the Cook County court system. And last year, we opened something like 2,500 cases for mediation. So that ethos is still the same, to offer free mediation services to anyone who needs them. And we're just a little easier to find now. We opened our doors actually in the uptown part of Chicago, in the old bank building that's on Lawrence and Broadway, if anyone knows it, which is why we've got this sort of Flatiron look here. We have since moved downtown. We're right in the loop at State and Adams. You can come in and mediate in our offices. We do also offer mediations virtually. And if you want to pop to the next screen, just a little bit there. So like I said, we've been kicking around for 45 plus years, and we have a full-time staff of 29 people, but we could not effect all of these mediations without the 150 to 180 active mediators that we have volunteering at any given time. So these are people who go through a lot of training to get certified, a lengthy peer review process, and then donate their time just to get these cases mediated. And like I said, we open about 2,500 cases a year, and 80 to 85% of those cases are direct referrals from the Cook County court system. But the other 15, 20% are those community referrals. You know, someone comes in off the street and says, my mother isn't doing very well. She really wants my sister and I to sit down at Thanksgiving and have a conversation that is civil. Can someone please help us come up with a plan so that we can sit down for 4 hours over dinner without killing one another, which is an actual case that we had. I don't know how that dinner actually went. No one followed up, but hopefully the turkey was finished and everything stayed nice and calm. We do also have a pretty robust juvenile mediation program. So these come to us a number of ways. Often this is a young person who has their introduction to the legal system, wrong time, wrong place. They were kids being stupid. This is a non-violent, non-felony first offense. And the assistant state's attorney will, rather than prosecuting the case, put the young person in a diversionary program with a to-do list of things at the end of which their record can be expunged. And we are one of the steps on that particular process. And so that gives the young person an opportunity to come in and mediate with this is a court term, with the victim. We call those victim offender mediations.
So it's sort of in that restorative justice end of the swimming pool. Sometimes these are cases with a young person and their parent to talk about what happened and how that's going to affect everyone moving forward. And we do also have a relationship with the Juvenile Temporary Detention Center. So these are for kids and young people who are in that detention center who are being prepared to either transition home, back to the community, or to another facility. And they'll have a mediation with us to talk about that reentry process and how to be the most successful. We do a lot of parenting cases. These are not divorce mediations per se. There are places that are better equipped to handle a long and lengthy divorce. But what your child needs at the age of 3, a little different than what your child needs when they're 13, presumably. So that process of co-parenting is ongoing. So anytime you need to amend your parenting agreement, you can come in and have a mediation with us. We do a lot of eviction and foreclosure cases. Over the course of the pandemic, we developed an early resolution program that partners with a lot of legal aid organizations within the city. So that way, when you are facing eviction or consumer debt court, you have the opportunity to meet with legal aid, to schedule a mediation if that's something you would like to do, and to get assistance with things like rental assistance or other city services. So we connect everyone for that. Trying to think of other interesting case types. Civil stalking, no contact cases, which I will answer questions about endlessly. Those largely are neighbor disputes, right? There is nothing so unfair as being planted next to a neighbor that just can't get along with you. So the idea is you come in and you have a mediation. If you want to pop over to the next one, our particular kind of mediation is what we would call facilitative mediation. The easy version of that is I will control the process. You, the person in conflict, get to control the outcome. So there is something that we think is really important about people in conflict being best suited to come up with their own resolutions. So in facilitative mediation, much as I might want to as a mediator, I don't offer legal advice or opinion of any kind. I'm there to help you have the conversation, but anything that you come up with through that conversation is from you. So that way you come up with a solution that's going to work for you, because after tomorrow, I will make a sandwich for lunch and I will not see you again, right? So I want you to come up with a solution that is best for you. They're self-determined. Those are free. We do offer those in both English and Spanish. And really they address the underlying needs. I don't know how often you've had a fight where it was about the thing, but it wasn't about the thing, right? So sometimes it's about getting beyond what the actual stated issue is and getting down to why you need what you need. A lot of cases that we get, they go all the way through court and they win and they don't feel like they won. And part of that is sometimes the thing that I needed, a judge couldn't give me. If I need an apology, if I need you to take accountability for what you did, that's not something that the court can give me. That's something we get through conversation. And these are cases that can be court referred or community referred. If you want to pop us right over to the next one here. Excellent. One other thing I will mention here, this is my department. I spent my first couple of years as a case manager in our direct mediation services department. I am now the assistant director of training. So part of what I do, this is self-interested, is train our own mediators. We have clinical partnerships with the Chicago Law Schools, Northwestern, Chicago, Kent, and Loyola. We also offer a 40-hour mediation skills training about 5 times a year. Right now, 4 of those 5 are on Zoom. So if you want to come and train to be a mediator and stay in your pajamas, that is an option 80% of the time. And the other thing that we do is customized workshops. We will design bespoke trainings so that if you don't want to spend a full 40 hours with me, and who wouldn't, we can talk about how to come into your workplace. It is wild to me that everyone is just expected to be able to solve conflict and no one receives formal training, right? So a lot of these trainings are on basic conflict management, good communication skills, de-escalating heightened situations, and framing difficult conversations. So that's sort of the outline of us. That's my full what I did over summer vacation explanation of CCR. On our next slide, we have some contact information. If anyone has questions about the kinds of cases we mediate, what the process looks like, how to sign up for trainings, what books I like to read. What do you have for me? Do you have questions? Yeah.
Are all the volunteer mediators lawyers?
Good question. No, the question was, are all of our volunteer mediators lawyers? We do get a lot of attorneys. Our 40-hour public skills training offers continuing education credits for Illinois attorneys, for CEUs for social workers, and SHRM credits for HR. So those do tend to be 3 practice areas we get a lot of. But I didn't become an attorney until I was in my early 40s. Some of our best mediators, you know, wouldn't know a legal textbook if it smacked them in the face. So good question. No. Yeah.
Does it cost money to get the training?
Good question. The question is, does it cost money to get the trainings? Yes, it does. We do want to make sure that we're able to work with the communities that end up serving as mediators as well. So we have a bartering system. So if you want to come and take one of our trainings, but finances make that difficult, we can talk about trading services, you know, someone to help us with website design, or someone to come and give a continuing education workshop to our staff. But part of how CCR is able to provide the free mediations that we do is the revenue generated from the training department, and grant funding and private sources as well. What was your question?
You talked about there's times that dichotomy court referred and community referred cases.
Mhm.
Could you describe a little bit how referrals work?
Yeah, absolutely. The easy version for how community referrals happen is someone calls or emails. So this could be 3 in the morning, you are Googling at my wit's end conflict resolution, and we pop up on your Google search, and you just send us an email. So community referred sometimes is an older person recommends us to a community member. Sometimes you find us through a Google search. A lot of times you heard from someone who knew someone who participated in mediation, but essentially you give us a call, we'll talk you through what a mediation would look like, and then if you decide to open a case for mediation, we'll contact the other party and ask them if they would be interested in sitting down either virtually or in person to have a conversation with a neutral third party. Mediation is always voluntary for us, so if I make that phone call for you and that person tells me to take a hike, I have to. So it's just sort of, if you need help, you call us.
And the court referral would be a little bit more of like a mandate that you want.
Yeah, the court referral, it depends on the kind of case. You might be in small claims court or evictions court, and the judge says, here is the phone number I want you to call and schedule with CCR. So court referral, typically someone within the court system will give you our contact information, and then you just reach out to us. Yeah, I saw you next.
Do you have any measure of success? Do you like get a feedback loop of like, what was the outcome, or did it stick? Did it
Yeah,
work to
that's a great
everyone's
question.
happiness?
Yeah, how do we decide if we succeeded, right? If everyone seemed okay as they left the building, are we good? It really depends a lot on the case type. In terms of rate of what we would call agreement breach, some of that relies on someone calling us and saying, hey, I mediated 6 months ago, we had an agreement, and now it isn't being followed. And we can track those statistics. We also track the amount of times certain case types reach an agreement versus don't. But again, the idea is it's neutral. So I only want you to sign an agreement if it's good for you. So that is something that we're aware of, but not pushing for. Yeah, good question. Also, I'm going to count on you to tell me when
I
it's
think we've
been.
got time for one more question.
Okay.
If there are any.
Do we have one more question over here? Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wondered what court.
Yeah, good question. Generally, 80 to 85% of our cases come directly from court, from a lot of different areas of court, but 8 out of 10 or so are from a judge somewhere.
And I'll ask
Okay.
one more closing question. So if
Yes.
I wanted to open a case,
Uh-huh.
like I want mediation, I just call that number or email that email,
That is exactly right.
and it's
Yep.
free?
And it's free. So mediation is free, trainings are not. But yes, either one of these will get you straight to us, and we're happy to talk further.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for
Let's give
having me,
Ada a round.
Thanks. Yes.
Sorry,
Sorry,
there's
our
no
tech
way.
travel here too.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, let me just do a quick setup.
I can introduce.
Yeah, just so you're aware, we're getting ready. I'm just gonna do a quick little AV
So
check.
we're going to be switching next to our virtual speakers who are joining us today. And so this whole meeting is about mediation services. And ever since I learned about CCR and the resources they provide, I was amazingly impressed and wished more people knew about it. So I really appreciate Kate being here to tell us about what CCR can provide. More recently, Jenny and I from this district council had the opportunity to attend a conference at NYU School of Law, my alma mater, about alternative response and the state of alternative response to 911 calls throughout the country. And it brought together about 400 people who are working all across the country to try to understand what are other public safety solutions where police have often been asked to respond, but might not be the best response, or the one that's most targeted to the problem at hand. When we talk about that, we've obviously been talking about things like parking violations. Here in Chicago, we often talk about mental health crisis response or behavioral health crisis response. But one of the resources that I didn't know even existed is a service called field mediation. And the folks that are joining us here, Dan Cornfield and Maddie Tyner from Dignity Best Practices, have helped to set up a field mediation program in cities like Dayton, Ohio, where mediators will respond to 911 calls that might require mediation out in the field. It's a really innovative and new way of thinking about how we can better bring public safety resources to people who are having issues or are in crisis. And I also had a sneaky desire to play a little bit of a matchmaker between CCR and Dignity Best Practices, because CCR is sort of the marquee mediation group in Chicago, and I wanted to make sure y'all knew about each other. So if anything, you will hear from each other tonight, but I'm really excited to turn it over now to Maddie and Dan, and thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much. We go ahead.
Good evening, y'all. Can y'all hear me?
We can.
Yes.
Great. Thank you so much for having us, especially for having us virtually. We wish we could be there in person, but we feel honored and happy to be joining on Zoom. And thank you so much to the council for having us. And thank you, Kate. It was really cool to hear about what CCR is doing. And yes, let's for sure connect offline. I'm excited to talk to you. But my name is Maddie Tyner. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a project manager with Dignity Best Practices. And tonight I am joined by our executive director, Dan. We are a small but also very mighty nonprofit consulting firm, and our primary goal is to help cities and counties to launch and improve programs across the country. And this is often in the behavioral health space. And for us, we see a role in helping jurisdictions build the right fit response to people in distress. And we do this by bringing together folks from all over. So clinicians, peer specialists, mediators, police, fire, EMS, 911, and city and county leaders and reps. But we're excited to be here tonight to share about this concept of field mediation and also specifically some opportunities we have for cities and counties. Great. So I will start us out by sharing about field mediation. Field mediation is a rapid, unarmed, on-scene response to a distressing, but also nonviolent interpersonal conflict. So unlike the mediation activities that are scheduled and agreed upon by all participants in a conflict, field mediation is specifically a rapid response in an unstructured environment. So you're at your house or the store, or you're out in the street, or you're in your neighborhood and something happens. Field mediation units are civilian-led, and they respond to 911 calls as an alternative to law enforcement. So this might include calls like neighbor or family disputes, trespassing, noise complaints, or pet complaints as examples. And field mediation is open to all people in conflict who have not become violent and do not have any weapons involved. So it could be one person, or it might be multiple people. And in the case where there are multiple people, field response usually involves mediators approaching parties separately and offering to listen and to provide support to those folks. Field mediation is rooted in two traditions. So one is community mediation, so similar to like what Kate was just sharing about, but it is also rooted in behavioral health mobile response. But really, at its heart, field mediation gives folks an opportunity to navigate from conflict to a place of skill and agency. Mediators are trained in conflict resolution, de-escalation, and community support, and they use those skills to diffuse like heightening conflict into a really productive discussion and moving to a place of problem solving for those parties. And also, this helps avoid folks getting into violence or also getting enforcement. And in the end, I see the win as participants feel empowered to safely address their own needs. But these mediators, similar to like what Kate was sharing about, their skills are really in holding neutral, calm, empowering, and warm spaces, even when things are just really chaotic and really, really heightened. Mediators are strong listeners, and they can really coach participants to navigate conflict in a really relational way. But I'll hand it over to Dan, and he's going to share more about how field mediation got started.
Great, thanks, Maddie. Can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, my Zoom's acting weird and I can't see the screen share, but I think you guys can see it.
Yes, we're having a little bit of technical difficulties, but I think we should be back. Is that sharing now?
It's black for me, but I see through the camera that it's showing on your projected screen. So,
Our connection isn't the best right now, but we have
okay.
the slide with the table on the screen.
Okay, no worries. Great. Yeah, so let me tell you a little bit about the backstory of what happened in Dayton. Um, So, as with many communities, after George Floyd was murdered in 2020, there was a surge of rightful anger and energy around reimagining public safety, and especially thinking about the negative consequences of um, how policing can go wrong for Black and Brown lives. And in Dayton specifically, they started a police community-based reform process that made a number of recommendations to the city. And one of those was to have an alternative unarmed response. And as that was considered in more detail and the options were considered, they decided to try something really unusual, which is instead of making it focused on mental health or behavioral health, to make it focused on interpersonal conflicts. And um, it turns out that about 10% of 911 calls are these kinds of nonviolent interpersonal conflict calls. So, as Maddie was mentioning, neighbor disputes, noise complaints, pet complaints, um, roommate trouble, family disputes, business owner, unhoused person disputes. And and the police typically go to these calls. They take a long time to get there because they're not high priority calls. And then they don't stay very long because they're not very high priority calls. And so that can be a frustrating kind of go around for someone who's upset with their neighbor or something like that, because something might change briefly, but then be back to the way it was a few hours after the police leave again. Um, and so the idea was uh, that can be also hard for somebody who's called on, right? Like they can feel like the police are kind of weaponized against them. And this can actually make conflicts worse, right? I can't believe you called the police on me, says a daughter to their parent, for example. Um, uh, so they decided, based on the Dayton Mediation Center, which was a really valuable local existing asset in the community, to to say, let's give this a try. And they brought Dignity Best Practices in as their implementation partner. And so we helped them do community engagement, write the protocols, write the job descriptions, write the budget, do the training design, and basically stand up the program, which was really cool, and an honor to participate in that. But I'll be honest, I was holding my breath after it launched in May 3 years ago, because I wasn't totally sure this was going to work. In part because um, when people are calling 911 for um, a mental health crisis, they want somebody who's going to say, "Let's talk about your feelings and let's see how you're doing and let's take a deep breath." But when somebody wants somebody else to behave differently, my fear was that they would say, "Okay, that's nice that you're here, but we want enforcement. That's why we called 911 in the first place." And we were actually really pleased to see that out of the 250 plus calls in the first 10 weeks of the program that this team took, so almost a call an hour that police used to take, um, only 4% of those callers insisted on a police response once they actually got mediation as an option. And only 3% of the time did mediation feel like they needed to call the police in because of a safety concern. And that was the other big concern with this project is like if we're talking about disputes, could those get out of hand, right? Could those escalate in a way that's hard for an unarmed team to respond to? And now, occasionally they do have to call the police, like if there's a weapon on scene that's involved in some way in the scene. Um, but there have been no injuries so far in the 3 years of the program. Last year they took over 2,700 calls, so almost 3,000 calls. Um, and they've had a great track record, and we've been able to also do a little bit of interviewing of people who were the callers and who got the response, and to understand the satisfaction of on that side as well, which has been uh, a really neat learning journey. Um, if we haven't gone to the next slide, let's go ahead and do that.
We're on the mediation toolkit slide.
Okay, perfect. So now that we know that this can work in a community and it can work very well, we're excited to tell the world about it. And whether people work with us or just do it themselves, we hope that this idea spreads. Um, and so uh, a year ago, we got a grant from the American Arbitration Association to write a toolkit based on our work in Dayton, basically providing a year of do-it-yourself material for any city or county that wants to launch a program like this. So it has editable templates in it that provide timelines, sample job descriptions, sample budgets, all sorts of things that can be very useful for setting up a program like this, including some commentary on how is this similar to or different from mediation in a structured setting. As Maddie was mentioning, it's based in the community mediation tradition, and specifically in Dayton, they use transformative conflict theory based mediation. Um, but that is typically not designed to happen on a porch where people start out yelling at each other and somebody has called 911. And so we had to figure out how to adjust the training to take into account the more unstructured part of this kind of response. So we're super excited about this toolkit. It's available for free on our website. If you go to dignitybestpractices.org, there's a pull down that's called Resources for Practitioners, and you can navigate from there to the mediation section and find the toolkit. And now I'm going to turn it over to Maddie to tell us about another way in which we're supporting cities and counties in trying this out.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. So again, thank you to the American Arbitration Association. We're offering 15 months of free technical assistance to 2 cities or counties who want to launch a field mediation capacity. The service is valued at about $200,000, and we feel really excited about the idea of getting this really promising initiative into other cities and counties. And I don't know, I just really like the idea that we can be impacting communities, and yeah, like maybe even Chicago even. So like I said, Kate will be chatting after this. But anyway, our technical assistance includes many of the services that Dan was talking about that we partnered with Dignity or with Dayton on. So we'll help out with cross-agency convening, protocol design, training, supporting like CAD call review, community engagement. So just to name a few of the services that technical assistance will include. And for this partnership, we're really looking for partners who are really committed to mediation, There's a lot of really wonderful alternative response models out there, but we specifically are looking for folks who are excited about mediation, field mediation. We are also looking for partners who want to build and expand more human-centered responses to distress and free up police for other calls and strengthen that cross-agency collaboration that our org values so deeply. And lastly, we're also asking for a commitment to funding operational costs. Please feel free to reach out to us and I can chat through what that would look like. But in this TA opportunity, there's two ways that you can go about it. You can opt into the way that Dayton did it as building a dedicated field mediation team. Or the other option is cross-training an existing mobile crisis team and giving them the capacity to navigate interpersonal dispute calls. And we're expecting applications primarily from city and county leaders, but we also welcome applications from emergency response agencies, behavioral health teams, mediation centers, or other community partnerships. And the assistance would begin in January 2026. And so on the note of timelines, I'll know a few key events. So applications open August 4th and close October 1st. And applications received before September 19th might have the opportunity for feedback and open up some conversation for us to ask some clarifying questions. However, before applying, I really encourage you to attend at least one of our info sessions and signing up for office hours. So our info sessions are public events and attendees can come ask questions and I don't know. If you're like me, I feel like in situations like that, other folks will think of questions that I wish I would have thought of. So we think this will be a really beneficial time to learn. And on the other hand, office hours are private sessions with our team. So these might be helpful if you have more nitty-gritty questions and also want to keep those conversations just between y'all and us. But you can sign up for these events at our website. Next slide, please. Otherwise, we would love to hear from y'all. Please reach out if this sounds interesting, if you have feedback on our toolkit, or hopefully if you intend to apply, we would love to hear from you as well. But otherwise, we'd love to take some questions if we have time.
Yeah, definitely have some time. I'm gonna turn the camera so you can see folks. I did have one quick question. Well, maybe it might not be quick, but like a more operational. How do you integrate with the 911 system specifically so that you can then know how to intervene with mediation services?
Yeah, great question. Oh, hi everybody.
Yeah, sorry, Dan and Maddie. You've been talking to like 20 people here in the room the whole time, and we haven't been able to see them.
And that's not everybody. We have some to the other side too, but trying to get as many as we could.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I used to be a neighborhood commissioner in Columbia Heights in DC, and this meeting is reminding me of those. So fun blast from the past. Um, Although I live in Pittsburgh now. Maddie's hailing from Colorado, so um, yeah, so your question about how to connect specifically to the 911 system is a fantastic question. And if I could have written questions to tee up, that would have been one of them. So thank you.
Yeah.
One of the magical things that I think happened in Dayton, because we built what we built through a cross-agency working group where there was a member of EMS, a member of 911, a member of the city manager's office, a member of the police department, a member of uh, I think that's about it. The mediation center, of course. We built trust with the traditional responders, law enforcement, and the sheriff's office that ran the 911 center for the county, enough so that they allowed us to put the same mobile data terminal, the same hefty laptop computer that are in police cars, in the mediators' response vehicles. And the mediators can see they're connected to CAD just like a police officer is, and they have the radios and they can opt into calls that they see come across the board. Um, and even if the 911 call taker more cautiously or routinely assigns a call to police, if it's a lower priority call and they can see it won't be a while, it'll be a while before police actually respond, they can just auto dispatch themselves to that call and use the callback number to call back the person who called initially and say, hey, we flagged this as a good call for a mediation response to a service the city provides. We can be there in 15 minutes. Would you like us to come out? And so that has dramatically increased the call volume that they get compared to, I think, what they would have gotten. A lot of these new programs through 911 get maybe 3 calls a week when they're first starting out, and this program was getting like 7 calls a day. So
Wow.
that was a very big difference.
Wow, that's awesome. No, and that's encouraging to see that it's working that way in other cities. Because as you heard at the beginning of the meeting, with even this parking violations initiative, we're still trying to figure out some of those operational challenges as well. I think I have one other question over here. So yeah. Oh, okay, cool. Any other question? We have one over here. Okay, one more question over here.
And this you might have touched on already, but I just wanted to clarify. So, how do calls get determined whether they go to you or to a police officer? Like, is that something that the caller decides, or is that something that the intermediary call center decides? Or yeah, how does that work?
So it can be either. A caller can call in and say, "We want mediation. We've heard that's a service. Please send them," and then they will get that. They can also call a direct line into the mediation response team, so they don't have to go through 911. And some people would prefer not to be 911 involved, so that's a benefit there. Um, if they don't know about mediation or choose that, the 911 call taker can say, "Actually, this seems like a good option for mediation. Would you like that response?" Um, and even if they say no problem, police will come check it out, and they dispatch it to police on the board, but not to a specific unit because it's waiting in a queue. Then, as I mentioned, the mediation team can look at the queue, look at the notes from the call, and decide to opt into the call, and then call the person back and make sure that they're okay with a mediation response instead of police.
Great, thank you so much.
Any other questions?
One clarification. So, and I apologize, Dan, if you said this, but what is the balance of self-dispatch as opposed to being dispatched by the 911 call takers?
I don't know the exact balance, but it's definitely more than half on the self-dispatch side.
Okay, so that ability for, I just wanted to highlight that because that's something that we're dealing with here in Chicago as well, is there are behavioral health mobile crisis teams, but recently their ability to self-dispatch has been really limited. And I think what we've seen, hello again. Thank you for being on the interwebs in our very makeshift system, and for all of you here for dealing with that as well. But that self-dispatch is a really important piece of how a lot of these alternative response programs are able to get known in the community and also just get used. And so it's interesting to hear that most of the calls are self-dispatched from the team, recognizing that this is an appropriate call for them.
Yeah, I think it's a game changer and worth fighting for any alternative response program.
Yeah, great. Any other questions? Okay, well, Dan, Maddie, thank you so much for joining us from afar. We really, really appreciate it.
It's inspiring.
And hope we can connect to you in CCR afterwards, and other mediation resources here in Chicago.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thanks for having us, and have a great evening, y'all.
It's been a pleasure. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, Matt. All right.
All right. Well, and you all just witnessed history because I was our first remote speaker from not in Chicago. Thank you for bearing with us, and thank you for doing the tech review. I know.
See what happens when Jenny's not here. He's like, just a couple of reminders and calls to action. Again, you have the opportunity to have coffee with a counselor. Please let us know if you would like to attend.
That's old.
This is old. But we're doing them in August again, I believe. Yes. Jenny's back, but you can always email us or 19districtcouncil@gmail.com. Always willing to meet even outside of these hours. So just contact us and we'll set something up. We want to thank Principal Karen for our Elementary for hosting us. Thank you so much. And then our next meeting, which is correct this time, Wednesday, August 27th. That's going to be at Chicagoland Community Church, which is on Aldine, again, 6:30 p.m. on a Wednesday. So that is it from us. An earlier side meeting. That is Chicagoland Community Church, which is 836 West Aldie. And with that, we'll adjourn. Thanks, folks.
Thanks for coming out on a very hot day.
Thank you.
Yeah, that would have been brutal.